Hi, I'm Laurel Clark. I am an anthropology student studying ethnography, and we're doing a project. And I wanted to do an interview with someone who could answer questions based on my project title. So I wanted to find out from you. This conversation will be recorded. Are you okay with the conversation being recorded?
Yes.
Okay. And can you tell me your name?
Darlene Newman.
All right. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, darling?
Yes, I am a 68-year-old female born and raised in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
I'm currently working for the federal government, and I've had many jobs, private industry, D.C. government, and federal government.
Okay. And have you been living in the Washington, D.C. area your whole life?
Born and raised, yes,
Okay.
my whole life.
Is your family from Washington, D.C. originally?
My family comes from the South. My father's side came from Raleigh, North Carolina. My father did. He came to D.C., I believe, in the early 50s. My father's father came from North Carolina and went to Baltimore. On my mother's side, my family is from South Carolina, Spartansburg. And they came here in 2021.
2021 or 1921?
1921.
Okay.
1921, yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure you understood. And so your family, they've been in this area for nearly 100 years for one part. So that means that you guys have been able to experience DC through its transition from where it is now, from where it started in the early 1900s. Can you tell me a little bit about your upbringing?
Yes, from my understanding regarding, to just give you a little backdrop of the family history, once my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, and my maternal grandfather came to Washington, D.C., they lived in the Deanwood area, which some people consider to be far northeast because it's right near the Maryland line at Sheriff Road and Eastern Avenue.
Okay.
They came up from South Carolina, and I believe were renting a property or a house, small house, what they would call a shotgun house. You could open the front door, open the back door, and see right through the house. There were 8 children that they had, and so in raising those children, then that I believe 3 of them came from South Carolina, were born in South Carolina. Okay. So the other 5 were born here. So it goes to show you that they had to survive in order to maintain. My grandmother was a homemaker. She did not ever work. My grandfather held down 2 positions. I'm not sure, 2 jobs. Not sure when he started working 2 jobs, but he had a federal government job where he was doing HVAC. Also, he worked for a hotel in the food service field. He finally, I think about maybe 3 or 5 years after they came to DC, he actually built his own house, his family home, which is still at 5014 Sheriff Road in Deanwood. And his family, then moved his family into that property. My grandmother raised me somewhat and my sisters as well as some other cousins,
Okay.
first cousins.
All right.
Because everybody was trying to work out how their lives would be. So some of the family members needed my grandmother to watch their kids as well as it was with me and my siblings.
Okay.
I can tell you from my experience as we move past that point that in going to the stores, what we considered to be downtown was actually not that far away from where we live, maybe 20 blocks.
All right.
And the stores were more of stores that pretty much had everything in the stores, meaning they could carry some food. They carried the home products that you would need, like sewing products, hair products, brushes, combs, and even had food where they would cook food and you could buy cook food in those places. So it was very limited, but that was our area that we shopped.
Okay, can you
actually started to span out as I got older. I was a child then, small child.
Okay.
And as we got older, as I got older, more closer to my teens, we would go to H Street Northeast, and H Street Northeast had more stores, and we were able to do a little more things. And at least we saw more things.
All right.
When it came to purchases. There was the downtown area, but during that time when I was younger, it was more of a segregated area. It wasn't made for us to be able to go there and purchase things. There were some stores we could not go in. Again, that's when I was younger.
And
by the time I got to be a teenager, there were some of us who were able to get jobs and work in those stores, but it was limited and was behind the scenes.
Okay. Oh, that's a bit of information, very comprehensive. Let me ask you, so the interview won't last long. I'll take a couple more minutes of your time, but I did want to ask you, you say as far as not being able to access the stores in certain areas, is that because of integration hadn't happened yet? There was segregation going on at the time?
That's because segregation and integration had not fully been implemented in DC. So part of that period of time where you had to drink out of certain water fountains and colored in for white only or whatever the case may be, we kind of saw glimpses of that and how people reacted to you because of your color. But we didn't really participate in much of that because of our being able to stay on our side of what people call the track.
Okay. So let me ask you this question. Do you think that before integration, that your community had access to certain resources prior to integration, or what do you think the effects of integration was on your community? Was it a good thing or was it a bad thing?
I think at that particular time, people saw it as a good thing, dealing with the school system and the schools. People saw it as an opportunity to be able to participate in the school system with other people of color. I do know from previous conversations, people who were older than I, there were certain schools in Washington, D.C. that were white only, and then there were the black only ones. And therefore, once that transition happened, they were able to go to those schools, but many of them did not have a good experience with the mixture.
Okay. And then I'll ask you one more question and then we'll wrap up. If there was anything that you could see from your childhood versus now, as a 68-year-old, do you think that having access to the broader world, it was better for you financially, or do you think that people of your ethnic background was better off before integration financially?
I see it in both views. I see and remember when we were segregated, even as a younger child, that we had things that separated us as a people. Therefore, the morale, our spiritual background allowed us to be segregated from the other things that we have now realized that it really has changed us as a people.
And what do you mean by a change? A good change, or you mean by change?
As I was coming up, there were not liquor stores on every other corner or every corner. The drug scene got worse after integration. There were also the abortion clinic that came into our community. These are things that I'm not saying that did not occur. I'm just saying that they were limited because in our community, there were people who determined what would be and what would not be in our communities.
Okay. So there were some adverse actions on the part of integration, but there were also some benefits to integration. Well, I thank you for your time, Ms. Darlene. We're going to conclude this interview. Again, thank you for taking time out of your day to answer these questions. It's very important in the study of Black Americans, and hopefully we get a chance to talk again soon.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Bye-bye.